Dr. Austin Nweze joins us next. He's an economist. He's also of the Pan Atlantic University. Thank you for coming on this one.
Yes, thank you. Good morning.
Well, here we are again talking about this time the economy, but the CBN himself, CBN governor, briefing the Senate, saying, look, it's not looking good. But I did ask Mr. Anagonya if he was surprised. He says no, he wasn't surprised. But the fact that it came from the CBN governor himself, you think that it was a long time coming?
Yes, a former American president once said that that when you tell the people the truth, the nation is safe, and that's what the CBN governor has done. You know, the thing is that, and it happened in India too. You know, in 1990, when World Bank published, told the world that India was technically bankrupt because they had less than 900 million in their foreign reserve, and they took it. The prime minister then, I've forgotten his name. So he said that called the Singh, who was finance minister there, and said, well, this is the truth. We have two options: throw away the World Bank report or do something about it. So they accepted the truth. But the point is that whether CBN haven't accepted the truth, or saying the truth, whether they're able to do something about it. You know?
That's what the thing is, because
that's right.
The thing that many say, well, yes, he said this, but the unsaid part could it be that he's trying to rally the troops and say, look, but the monetary and economic policies, we've got to meet at a point
of course,
to move things forward.
Of course, because without the fiscal policy side, the monetary side is only limited. So in the fiscal policy side, the government need to say, okay, this is where we're going. There's no strategy, no direction. How do you know? How can the CBN operate? They should be able to say, okay, look, this is where we are headed. This is how we want to compete. This is how. Okay. That Nigeria's economy is 79%, minimum 79% of West African economy. It's huge. Okay, we can say, okay, why don't we take advantage of, this market that we have? Why don't we look at our, ourselves, the arable land we have? How can we do that? Thailand that produces rice, they have 39 million or so arable land. Nigeria has 79 more, but they're exporting rice to the whole world. So, but the point is that it's all about policy. It's all about policy. What do we want where do we want to achieve, apart from our own personal gains? So that's just the area that we have to look at. If we are saying, look, this is what we want to achieve, there's nothing they have not told us. This is how we want to compete, even with China. Every nation dealing with China has a strategy on how to compete with China.
But we're supposed to have signed an agreement, or we're set to have signed an agreement with China.
Beggarly agreement. When you need something, a hungry man will say, okay, look, anything goes. We are not signing an agreement in an advantage position, with confidence, with good self-esteem. We're not. So you're signing this because you need money.
All right. Mark,
well, Dr. Nweze, I was just wondering, the Senate was worried enough to invite the CBN governor. What significance do you think that the Senate, could bring to the table, or what solution do you think the Senate could bring to the table after listening to both the CBN governor and perhaps today they're expected to hear from the Minister of Finance? Do you think there's anything the Senate can do about the economy?
Basically, there isn't much they can do. Their role is advisory. They just say, okay, you do this. It's left for the executive to do something about it. But again, if there are laws that things that the executive want to bring to the National Assembly for approval so that to move the economy forward, something like the budget, any aspect that the president brings that will move the economy forward, then they can quickly fast track it to make sure it is done and all that. But they're doing their job by inviting to understand exactly what is going on. There isn't much. Their role is advisory. It's left for the executive to work. Because the executive cannot talk to ordinary Nigerians. They have to talk to us via the CBN. That's what they're doing. I don't think that directly what the National Assembly or the Senate will do. But it's nice that they invited the CBN governor to come and explain to them, so that in making their laws, they'll have an understanding. It wouldn't be as if, when...
Considering
Yeah, go ahead.
Considering all the politicking that we've been seeing in recent times, especially between the executive and the legislature, do you think that they will be able to put aside their differences and focus on the economy?
Well, it depends on them, and they look at the big picture, and looking at the big picture, because politics is all about negotiation of self-interest. You have to protect your turf, in politics. But again, you know that the left hand has to watch the right hand, and the right hand will watch the left hand as well. So that's what they should know and understand, and put aside their selfish interests and look at the bigger picture. That way it will work. But again, you find that they are still distracting us. And, when it seems as if we're coming down to face the real business, you see that they're fighting themselves, calling names and all that, just to distract us. And these are mafia managers. Where the mafia manager wants to achieve something, it causes confusion, distract people and all that, to stay away from the real issue.
But Dr. Nweze, in all of this confusion, seeming confusion, we mustn't forget that we have states, and 36 of them, and all 36, they also have their finance commissioners. Perhaps let's beam our searchlight on the states. How can they help us out of this mess?
Because I was just going to come up to that too. I'm happy you brought it up now. Because one is this. What is the federal government control of the national economy? Maybe about 30%. The state's supposed to control 50%. Then 20% the local government. But we are focusing on the federal because of the fatherly figure that we always play.
But it's a huge 30%.
Yes. It is not supposed to be so. The state governors are hiding under the national this thing.
But they can't pay salaries.
They can't pay. Why can't the states pay? They are not thinking. You see, in this knowledge economy, we require leaders that are cerebral, who can, understand issues, articulate solutions, and have a strong this thing to implement those things. But now they have not articulated what the problem is. Not to talk of providing proffering solution to them.
No, but to some of them, they are coming up with some ideas.
What ideas are they coming
up with? Ideas. Look at states. You mentioned some of those states. We've seen Lagos collaboration with Kebbi. We've seen Anambra doing something. Kaduna held a summit the other day. Ogun held another summit. So they seem to want to fetch ideas and see how they can move forward.
And don't forget, when you don't run an inclusive government, you fight to protect yourself in power. These governors and all that, they're not running inclusive government. Let me give you an example of Anambra State. Anambra State is one state that you don't hear about them. They don't owe salaries. But instead, when people are cutting salaries, they were increasing salaries. Anambra State runs an intelligent government.
Was that not because of what happened before?
Yes, this governor came.
I'm happy you're here, as if, not trying to look at any person in particular. Good thing you're from Ebonyi State, because I was trying to share some of the findings with Mr. Anyanwu on rice production, the popular Abakaliki rice. Now we're talking about Kebbi when we talk about rice. Kebbi is number one in Nigeria. How is Abakaliki rice doing, Ebonyi State? Because if that state should get on the same level as Kebbi, I'm quite sure that will provide not only jobs, it will also help the nation in this rice importation.
Once upon a time in the 70s and all that, Abakaliki rice or Ebonyi rice was like the rice feeding the nation. It's the most nutritious, nutrient-wise. The imported rice does not contain the kind of nutrient that our local rice contains. That people don't know. So the Abakaliki rice, is the most nutritious rice, the healthy to consume, the most healthy to consume. But guess what? By nature of the people, some of them are itinerant farmers. They run an agro-economy. And what happened was that because of funding, because of politics, because of this thing, when the state was created and, the general political situation, they discovered that there's more money in politics than investing in this thing. So there was low investment in, we developed appetite for imported goods. Nobody wants to consume. If you go to anybody's house and it brings a local food and all that, say, no, Where are the hamburgers? How can you belong? How can you be eating this kind of rice? How can you be eating this kind of beans? And all that. So money is in the hands of people. They began to consume imported stuff, and that one abandoned. And that's why you have these young people hawking on the street. And Lagos State, I tell them, all the major cities, about 75% of the hawkers are from Ebonyi State. Because farming is no longer lucrative for them. Their parents who, ordinarily were farmers, farming no longer this thing. So they could no longer sustain. So they sent their words. When I was campaigning, my campaign when I contested for governorship, I went to all the nooks and crannies. I saw people, they're supposed to be free education. But these people are not in the classroom. Because, why are they not in the classroom? Because the economies of their parents, can no longer sustain them. So they withdrew their words to the farm to help them. And then send them to towns to hawk. I was helping out a former law student, and he, one time he ran out of money. He had to come to Lagos to hawk to be able to make money to pay his school fees. So these are the things happening. And I've told them, no matter which law you do to prevent hawking in Nigeria and all that, first of all, you have to put Ebonyi State right. Once the economy of Ebonyi State improves, then, only then, will hawking be mitigated.